I'm realizing is that this light makes me like glow. Like really glow. Sorry guys, I'm fair skinned, I'm Scandinavian, what do you want from me? Anyway, I decided to sit and do another tag question video because I want to. So the last video that I did that you will see on my channel and this video, I'm wearing the same shirt because I'm doing them back to back and I don't even care. So this is going to be a VR to LadyKnight of Avalon. She did a video specifically to Tarot Tube, and it's basically a question tag celebrating your tarot collection, and I liked it. I thought it was really a really great idea. I came across this on Katie Flower's channel, and I adore Katie. She's fantastic, and I really thought it was fun, especially because this whole last year I have been growing my collection but simultaneously feeling guilty that I have a tarot collection, and I'm now to the point where I'm like, why? So I thought it was a really fun thing to dive into, and you know, so let's get into it. There are 10 questions, and I will start with obviously number 1. Just guys, sometimes just shake your head and deal with it. Just go with it. What was the last deck you bought and why that one? The last deck that got added to my collection I actually did not buy. I traded for it. Actually, the last couple decks have come into my collection strictly through trades. The last deck I traded for was the Ophidia Rosa. I was really curious about this deck, and I was really nervous about it just because it's a very intuitive deck, and it's definitely not for the beginner because the imagery is really different. So I was wondering how I would connect to it and how I would read with it, and so far I'm really liking it. I do plan on doing a full review on it, and I actually plan on honestly going through my whole collection bit by bit and doing full reviews on the decks that I work with and kind of how I work with them. But anyway, I digress, please. The second question is, what's your decision process when you buy a new deck? I try to be discerning in the decks that go into my collection. I try to be, I don't think that they have to have a specific purpose, but some of them do. I really feel as though I need to be quite drawn to them. I need to feel like I can work with them easily, and that they can have a functionality in my practice. So that's kind of the process that I go through when I'm considering adding to my collection. Question number 3, what are the deal breakers in a deck that keep you from buying it? I have to be drawn to the artwork. And that's always been my thing. That's actually why I never picked up the Rider-Waite until this year. And the reason why I picked up the Rider-Waite is because I wanted to learn the foundation of the Rider-Waite system. So, you know, now I have a Rider-Waite. Actually, I have 2. But my big deal breaker is I have to be connected to the artwork. And one of them that I wasn't sure about because of the artwork at first was the Sacerobito. I really was not sure how I felt about the artwork at the beginning, and then I realized that the deck's functionality for how much emotion was in the deck and how much it connected to human emotion, I really started to change my opinion on it, and so I traded for it and I got it, and I really love it. Question number 4, little white book or big guidebook? Depends on the deck, I think. Some decks can go perfectly well with a little white guidebook, little white book. For instance, like the Halloween Tarot. It's a Rider-Waite Smith clone. You don't really need a whole lot. Little white book totally does it justice. However, things like the Marielle or the Moonchild Tarot, which if you guys have not read the guidebooks for either of those, you really should, because the Moonchild Tarot, it gives so much more depth to that deck, and the Marielle is a completely different thing. It's a completely different thing. You need the guidebook to really understand the full depth of the Marielle as well. So I think it depends on the deck. Number 5, do you have new deck rituals? How do you break in a new deck? First of all, I first of all flip through all the cards and kind of soak myself in the imagery. Then I will lay them all out, like on my bed. I'll kind of like throw them in different piles to try and get them a really good shuffle. And then I will pick the whole deck up and hand over hand shuffle. And then I will put it back in the box, and I'll usually just set it on my altar, and I'll usually keep it there until I feel like I need to pick it up and read with it and it's absorbed my energy. The other thing I tend to do is I have let's see if I can do this with my right hand, sorry guys, specific quartz crystal that I will set on decks if I feel like they need to be cleansed. I tend to do this especially if the deck has been used. I will set it on my altar to absorb my energy and use this specific quartz. And this always sits by my tarot decks. The other thing I will do is I will do a deck interview spread. I love doing deck interview spreads. They're really fun, and I always put them in my tarot journal. Question number 6. Have you ever been disappointed after getting a deck because it looked or felt different than expected? Or have you ever been pleasantly surprised? I have been disappointed. I did not resonate with the Bohemian Gothic at all, and I think it mostly was because I didn't have the full-size cards, and like, guys, I'm really blind. Like, look at how thick my glasses lenses are. I'm really blind. So even though I'm predominantly nearsighted, it still was really hard for me. And I think also part of it was I just wasn't connecting with it, which was a shame because it's a really cool deck. If they have a 4th edition, maybe I will get it, but that's actually what I ended up trading for the Ophidia Rosa. I have had several decks surprise me in a lot of ways, but I will say the most so far has been the Sacerobito and the Marielle. The Marielle was a deck that I completely outright refused to get for several years. I was like, it's weird, I don't want to get it. And I noticed a lot of people have been saying this about the Deviant Moon, which is funny because I feel that way about the Deviant Moon. I'm like, it's weird, I don't want to get it. But the Marielle kept coming into my life in the sense of like, people kept offering it to me. I had one friend who's getting rid of it, and she was like, I can send it to you. And I said, no, thank you. And then I had another friend get a second copy of it, and she was like, I can send it to you. And I kind of went back and forth, and then I was like, okay, fine. So I received it last month, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because it was when I was doing my 30-day challenge. A really good friend of mine sent me her second copy that she had, and I just recently did my first reading with it, which was a shadow work reading, and wow, that deck is, wow, I was very pleasantly surprised. So on to question number 7, which I already technically answered. Do you interview new decks? Yes, and I love to do it. It is so fun because you specifically can kind of find out their personalities, and I always put them in my tarot journal so I can kind of refer back to them, and it's really fun. Which I could do a video on interviewing decks if you guys ever wanted me to. Question number 8. Do you ever buy decks for a specific purpose? Yes. Although sometimes I will get decks and they will suddenly become, like, have a specific purpose. I think, to refer to the Marielle again, specifically, I think it's going to be for shadow work. And it just doesn't really seem like a deck it doesn't seem like it wants me to use it for anything else. I have specifically bought decks to work to use for like ancestral veneration or ancestral communication or communication with the dead as well, and things like that. I have decks for self-healing that I only reach for when I'm feeling really like vulnerable or raw, and I just need a deck that's not gonna slap me in the face. Yeah. Question number 9. Do you differentiate between decks you buy for yourself and decks that you would use for other people? Not generally. Well, that's kind of a... I don't have decks that I specifically use only to read for other people. All of them are used to read for myself. Only some of them are used to read for other people as well. I don't read for other people super often. I don't mind doing it, especially because it's really good practice. But I don't do it professionally. As you guys know, I actually did a video on that. But yeah, so basically, again, all of my decks are used to read for myself, and specific ones are used to only read for myself, whereas others will be used to read for myself and others, if that makes any sense. Question number 10, which is the last one. What is the one thing you wish deck creators would do more of or stop doing? You know, I gotta say, I don't really have any complaints aside from maybe the tuck boxes, because they just fall apart. But other than that, I honestly think that when someone creates a tarot deck, it's basically their own vision of the tarot, and whatever they really want to do with it, I'm fine as long as it's not, you know, racist or harmful, basically. But it's that aside, of course, it's their vision. So yeah, I mean, aside from those things, I don't really have any wishes for deck creators. Yeah, so that concludes those questions and essentially this video. Thank you, LadyKnight of Avalon, for doing this tag. It was fantastic. I will put the link to their channel down below. Please go give them a sub, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Now I'm gonna awkwardly try to turn off my camera with my right hand, which is busted, so please forgive me. All right, let's be